I feel like it should be multimedia superstar across all forms of media today. Shannon, welcome.
I don't know how this happened. How did this happen?
It's wonderful. I'll tell you how it happened. The news that we've all been waiting for came, and you can just take, for people who haven't caught up on it, where were you last night and why wasn't I invited? But what happened?
Do you know, there's been so many people around the place, when they've heard that we were at the pub for someone's farewell, they're like, no one sent us the email. How come we weren't invited?
It's one of those private get-togethers.
One of those private get-togethers. And look, it was fairly impromptu. So at about 7 o'clock, I decided I had to go. I had an appointment to go to, so I left. And I got to the tram stop, and my phone rang. And I picked it up, as you do. And the woman on the other end of the line said, "Is that Shannon Reid?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "It's the Austin Hospital. Do you know where Derryn is?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." I said, "Is this about the transplant?" And she didn't want to say that. She just wanted to speak to Derryn.
They've got
She
such
said,
serious protocols with all this.
absolutely,
Yep.
yeah. A very kind of covert operation. Don't want it to get out. In fact, I think they were a bit worried the fact that he was at the pub with media people, that it was going to, spread like wildfire. So I kept her on the phone and ran back to the pub, which is a couple of 100 metres down the road, and I said to her, "Oh, look, I'm going to put the phone beside me. I'm not going to hang up on you. I'm just going to walk in. I'm just going to grab his attention," and which I did. And then he walked over to me. And
there's a very short window of time. It was 45 minutes. We've heard right through.
Yeah. So, I ran as fast as I could in heels, yes, and and kind of didn't want to make too much of an entrance because I'd already said goodbye to everyone. So I just kind of thought, I hope, no one's going to think, "Oh, what's Shannon doing?" So and Derryn was great. He took the phone call. It was really lovely. I was standing next to him. We were kind of at the front door of the pub, and he kind of reached his hand back and squeezed my hand, and I was like, "Oh, this is so exciting." And then he pretty much went inside and said, "Guys, got to go. Chanel's on the phone," and walked out the door.
Did any of those people put two and two together?
Well, at the time, no.
Because the first thing I'm interested in is, in the old days, it would never have been Derryn leaving the pub and saying, "I've got to go now." But not these days.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got to say, I started checking Twitter because our online guru, Ben Wise, was there. And I thought, if anyone's going to be starting to spread it, it will be Ben. So, and there was nothing there about Derryn's, which I was really grateful for. So, yeah, we left.
I was listening to Bruce and Phil on the way. I was at a function here in Melbourne myself last night, and I was listening to Bruce and Phil on the way home, and nothing there.
No.
And I woke up to the good news this morning.
Yeah, it was great. Apparently, MJ who was the farewell drinks before, did think, Derryn was a little bit, rushed leaving. So, but apart from that, they just carried on.
Can I ask why he didn't have his mobile with him, or was it just not picking up?
Look, it's really bizarre. He had his mobile with him. He takes it, admittedly, everywhere these days with him. And we don't know whether the phone call just didn't go through, whether he, for that moment didn't have service. Chanel is the second person on the list. Her phone didn't have service for some reason. So, I was the lucky bunny.
The what-ifs are incredible.
Oh, they are, absolutely. And look, I could have been on the tram almost home, and I would have had to drive back because I was thinking, if they can't get through to his phone, then I'm not going to be able to get through to his phone. So that's why I just immediately went, okay, I'm running back to the pub.
And there's that short window of opportunity. I mean, if that could have meant 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes of wasted time.
And look, and Derryn said to me, "Let's go, come with me." And I said, okay. And we went to go down Spencer Street, and it was bumper to bumper traffic. So we did in Derryn's massive Cadillac, which I don't know how he did this either. This massive.
Why didn't you get a cab?
This U-turn in Little Collins Street, because Derryn.
It's a beautiful car,
it's a great car.
Let's be realistic. It could have overheated. It could have, and these things seem to happen at times like this. Things that could have gone wrong. Well, may have. So he's driving.
Yeah,
for his liver transplant.
We probably did an illegal U-turn, and ended up going up Kingsway and got to his place really quickly that way.
So you went that way before you went the other way?
Yeah. Spencer Street was bumper to bumper. Couldn't get on there.
What was he saying at this point? Because he's never been short of words.
He's never been short of words. He Look, I think that he was surprised, as anyone, that he had got the call because, as I said this morning, he is always of the impression that they call you at 11 o'clock at night because they operate overnight. So a 7 o'clock phone call was just, I think it just kind of it really threw him a little bit. But I think it was good that he had had the dummy run because he knew what he was headed for. So he knew that he knew the process. So we went into his apartment block. He first went to Chanel's place. Really funny, actually. He they both worked out what was going to happen, and then he said, "Okay, I'll change the water on your water cooler now." And I said, yeah, because the girls had their empty water cooler, the kind of buckety thing there. And he said, I'll change that for you. And I said, do you want me to do that? I think you've got more important things. And then he said, no, it's okay, I'll do it. So he was on autopilot.
Did he at any point mention the fact that he'd already had a dummy run? Was there any sort of, because he's been incredibly, I want to talk about this after the commercial break, his attitude right through this has been exceptional.
Yes.
Did he talk about the disappointment of the time before? And he did spend a lot of time that time before thinking about the person who has passed away for him to get this
look,
gift.
He kind of said, hopefully, I think he used that word at some point. He said, "Oh well, we'll see what happens," and that was basically his attitude. But I could, it was all ticking over in his mind, and I could see that as we were driving, and then even when we went to his apartment, he was going through what he needs. He was packing his bag, making calls to various people. But the other thing, which I was telling Desi, I spoke to him probably about half an hour ago, or probably about an hour ago actually, and he brought this up with me again. So we get to his apartment, and he's in the kitchen. He starts packing the dishwasher, and I said to Derryn, you know what? I don't think that's really important right now. He
wasn't trying to look like a modern male to you or anything, was he?
I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know. He said, I'm just cleaning up.
Hang on. What window of time did you have at this point? Because it's still 7 o'clock or around that time. This is probably 7.
Look, I think the cab was arriving in another 10 minutes, and he hadn't fully packed yet. But and I just thought it was really sweet that I said to him, and I'm like, what are you doing?